Our sermon text for today comes from the 5th chapter of the book of Matthew, starting in verse 13 through verse 20. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It's no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled by men. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. I tell you the truth, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter, not the least stroke of a pen will by any means disappear from the law until everything is accomplished. Anyone who breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever practices and teaches these commands will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. This is the word of God for the people of God. I was just wondering as I was reading that if I should throw my salt out, that it's become unsalty. This is a passage that talks to us about how we are to interact with our world. I think for way too long, the church has gotten comfortable. It's gotten to the point where we think that interacting with our world means something that I'm not sure is scriptural. For a while, interacting with our world was sending missionaries out. Sending missionaries out to all parts of the world, and that's a good thing. Now, believe it or not, other countries are wondering if they don't need to send missionaries to the United States, so that we remember what it means to be the salt and the light of the world. But then after we decided that it wasn't a good idea to just send missionaries out, that we needed to help people, then we decided that what we needed to do was go out and do things for people, to help them out. And that's a good thing also, but part of the problem with that is if we're only doing it to help them out, to make their situation better, then we're not being salt. If we're not giving them a message that is going to affect and change their life, then we're not truly being salt and light as Christians. We're being good people. We're helping them out. But we need to make sure that in working with people, we're also giving them the message of Jesus Christ. Why is it that we do what we do? Now, I've gone on mission trips. I've been on probably 30, maybe 40 mission trips, maybe even more than that. And it's a good feeling to go out and help people. I want to share with you today 2 different mission trips that I went on. The first one was very early in my going on mission trips, and it was to the Rosebud Sioux Reservation in South Dakota, which I've gone to on almost all of my mission trips, and I was doing plumbing. I was putting in a bathroom for a young man. His name was Melvin Shot with 2 Arrows, and Melvin was an interesting young man, to say the least. He was about 35 years old. He lived by himself. He lived in a house that had been passed down through his family, and now he had it. The bathroom had been last updated. This would have been early 2000s, And the bathroom had last been updated in the 60s sometime. And there were holes in the floor, and it was a mess. So they sent me and a crew there to work on Melvin's bathroom. I took one look at it and said, let's just gut the whole thing and redo it. So we gutted the whole bathroom, and as we started, we got there about 9 o'clock in the morning, and I knocked on the door, and nobody came, and so I knocked again. Finally, Melvin came out looking like I had just woke him up, because I had. And I told him who we were, and he said, okay. He let us in, went back to his bedroom, got dressed, and left. And we worked all day, and about 3:30, we went to leave, and Melvin came back. And that was the way the whole week went. Until we got to Friday, and it was almost time to get everything all put together, everything buttoned up, and see if the bathroom worked and how well we had done with leaks and stuff. And I looked out in the living room, and you have to understand these houses. We call them Sioux 400s because the United States government built 400 of them for the Sioux Reservation in the late 50s, early 60s. And they have a kitchen, living room, 2 bedrooms, and a bathroom. And they all look the same. When you've been in one, you've been in all 400 of them. They all look exactly the same. So sitting out in the living room on Friday morning, soon after we got there, were Melvin, his best friend, and his aunt. And Melvin had 1 chair, 1 bench, and 1 table. That was his entire furniture. So they were all sitting on the bench and the chair, facing the bathroom, waiting to see what would happen. It was the only time that Melvin ever hung around. And I went to the main valve and I turned it on, and I heard that sound that every plumber hates to hear. Water hitting the floor of the house. So I spent another 3 hours tracking down where that leak was, cutting it out and fixing it, and finally we got Melvin water about 8 o'clock on Friday night. Friday night was the day we were leaving Saturday morning to come home. So we got his bathroom all fixed up, and we left, and Melvin said thank you. That was the entire amount of talk I had with Melvin the entire week. We met when I came on Monday, and we met again when I left on Friday, and that was it. That was all I knew about Melvin. I could tell you how tall he was. His aunt had told me he was 35. He didn't even tell me that. And so that's all I knew about him. In about 2010 or 12, I can't remember the exact year, I went back to the reservation. And every year I tried to do bathrooms because there's over 200 people on the reservation every year that are in need of a new bathroom or having theirs fixed because of pipes freezing over the winter. And they told me, you're going to be going to a little town called Parmalee. And I thought, oh, that's great. That's where Melvin lives. And it's the first thing that popped into my mind. And I thought, well, maybe I can visit him, see how things are going. And they gave me directions to get to the house that we were working on. And the closer we got to the house, I thought, well, Melvin lives right here somewhere. We pulled up in front of the house. It was Melvin's house. Here he had had a roof leak right over the bathroom. And guess what? I got to put a new bathroom in Melvin's house again. The difference was, because of what we had done the first time, I didn't even have to knock on the door. Melvin met me in the front yard. And he remembered me. He remembered that we had come. And he never left. He stayed there all week long. In fact, during lunchtime, what we do is I have a devotional that I've written for the reservation specifically. And we would sit down at lunch and have our devotional, and we'd eat our lunch at the same time. And the first day, Melvin was kind of hanging around listening. And I said, Melvin, you want to join us? He said, sure. So he came, and I gave him a devotional, and he went through it with us. I'm not even sure if he had a Bible, but at least now he had some Bible passages. And on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, we don't work Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, we brought Melvin his lunch. We just had a bag lunch, and he sat down every single day, and he participated in the Bible study more than some of the people who were on my work crew, some of the people who had gone on a mission trip. Now, what this told me is God understands what's important. Now, we had helped Melvin out. He knew he was going to get a new bathroom again, but he also understood that there was something different about us, why we were doing what we were doing, and he wanted to find out what that was. And so we were able to witness to him and to share with him the message of Jesus Christ. I'm not sure if he ever made a commitment to Jesus Christ. That's between him and God. But we shared the message. We became salt and light for Melvin. I often think about him. Think, how is he doing? What's going on in his life? While we were there the second time, I got to spend a lot more time with him, learned a lot about him. He had gone to school for accounting and was hoping to get an accounting job at the casino on the reservation. All of his family lived within a block of him. And so he took me down to meet his nieces and nephews. So I got to meet them and to interact with his family and to share with them and fix a little of their bathroom. But it was an opportunity to make a difference in Melvin's life. And I have to think, I've done a lot of bathrooms, done a lot of things for people. But I think probably the one that stands out for me the most is for allowing Melvin to sit in our Bible study and to learn about Jesus Christ and to really learn why we were there. I think ministering to people, to their physical needs, is vitally important. But if we don't share with them the message of Jesus Christ, all we're doing is taking care of their physical needs, which is only temporary. There's going to be another roof leak. There's going to be more frozen pipes. There's going to be more problems. But if we share with them the message of Jesus Christ, then we're truly changing their lives. And that's what we as a church are called to do, to change the lives of people we come into contact with. I could share all kinds of stories. The other one I want to talk about today is Ev and Vinny. How somebody working next to you who is there for other reasons than you are there, and how we can affect their life. You don't understand, I think, what you have meant to Vinny. I had a chance when she came to sit before the judge. The constables actually allowed me to sit and talk with Vinny by herself while she was in custody. And how important for her it was that you cared. You know what her biggest worry was? That she had let you down. That she had let you down. Now, I didn't know Vinny for a long time, but I've known people like Vinnie. And I'm sure for most of her life, that would have been the least of her concerns about anyone. But because people reached out to her, people looked at her and accepted her family, it changed her life. You became salt for her. You became something that begins a change. Now, there's more change that'll need to take place, and there's more change that needs to take place in each and every one of us. So we need to be salt and light for one another so that we can help each other to be more committed followers of Jesus Christ. That's what the church is called to be. To be something that interacts in our world, that changes it, that makes people see something different. It may not happen right away. It may take a long time to happen. But we need to continue to reach out to one another, to be the salt and light of Jesus Christ for our world and our community. Amen.